Call to order this Muncie Parks and Recreation Board meeting, Tuesday, February 18th. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chandler Parks,
Here.
James Lutton,
Here.
Mark Irvin,
Here.
Shannon Powers,
Here.
Brett Marshall.
Here. Next on the agenda, we've got the approval of minutes from the January meeting. Any discussion or revisions? Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Move. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next on the agenda, we did have an oversight last month. We were scheduled to do our board reorganization. That involves electing our board president and board vice president. So we're going to do that this month to make up for that. Would entertain nominations for, we'll start with president and then move to the vice president.
Okay.
I nominate Brad Marshall, serves president.
Second.
Any other nominations? All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. It's been great serving, and look forward to continuing to do that for another year. Next, we've got the vice president. I would entertain motions, nominations for vice president.
I nominate Shannon Powers.
Second.
Any other nominations for vice president?
Nope.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you for your support. I enjoy it too.
Next on the agenda, we have the superintendent report with Mr. Carmelo.
All righty. Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Before I start with the superintendent's report, I'd like to say that it's been a privilege working with each of you board members. I was having a conversation with the mayor this morning about the direction of parks, our summer program, things of that nature. And my conversation with him was the direction from the board, that I felt like we had a good board that was willing to be hands-on when asked or needed, and he agreed as same. And so I just wanted to say 2025, looking forward to having conversations and direction with the board as well as we move forward with doing the work of the parks and all the events and things that we got coming up. I think the board has done an excellent job in providing direction and leadership. Thank you. Now, into our superintendent's report. Our Muncie Parks Department have been busy clearing snow as we've gotten those snow days, and so we've been kind of busy with that as well. Not a problem. Our equipment is up and going, and I think our salt levels has been pretty steady. Nikki, they've been coming in. Gotten a little low a little bit on our salt, but I think we're okay. So that team has been taking care of their business. Our Muncie Teen Intern Fair Resource Center was last weekend at Minnetrista. Very well attended by our community. Board member Shannon Powers was there again, hands-on, providing leadership, direction, help, just pointing kids in the right direction, helping parents get on their apps and get their kids signed up. So we had our partners that were there were Ball State, Northwest Banking, Muncie Community Schools, Eco Rehab, and then entrepreneurship with Carmen Malone there on Sunday. Very, very attentive across the city. We had a lot of diverse in terms of individuals that were there from all walks, from all backgrounds, And I think the number that I got last was right around 96. So we take about 100 to 110 in the program. And so for just a weekend, we reached that 96 number already. I don't know what's came in the office since last weekend, but we're getting very close to our top out. Topics they discussed was resume building with the kids, hands-on with Ball State. Northwest Bank talked about financial literacy, what that means on savings, what it looks like to have a career where you have income, where you're making a bunch of monies and not taking care of your monies the right way, how you can go from being well off to not so well off just based on how you take care of your money. So kids got a chance to interact and have a lot of questions there. Ms. Ward from Community Schools talked a little bit about Dress for Success. That was attended by about 25 kids there as well. And then they had a lot of discussion, and the panel was able to wear different clothes to give the kids what they should wear for an interview. So I thought that was well attended as well. And then on Sunday, Eco Rehab's team was there to talk about construction. Some of the work that they did in our parks were the picnic tables and the benches last year, and they plan on doing the same this year. And then on Sunday, it was basically, like I said, entrepreneurship and business plan and what it looks like to start your own business and continue to create your brand and promote your brand and market your brand. So that was the discussion on Sunday. So the kids really got a full round of what it takes to be a stand-up person in the community, how to get your start, how to start your life off on the right foot, and how to be gainfully employed through the parks. So not only are the kids earning monies, they're also getting other resources, which was on hand this past weekend. All righty. As far as Perry Creek, Kelly and I have been out several times talking with the office out there at Perry Creek, trying to meet the staff, having some conversation with our HR department as well. We'll be continuing to have conversation and coming up with some ideas of where we can get things going there. I know the hiring process is a concern, and so we talked about that, making sure we meet the timelines on when we need to be out there putting the peers and things back in place. And I think we'll continue to have that dialogue with our HR department as we get the staff and people like that in place to create that problem. West Side Park, everybody knows the skate park is well under construction and pretty close to being completed. The weather has, of course, slowed us down a little bit there. But as soon as the weather allows the construction team to get back in place, they'll continue to complete that project, and that'll be done. Last year, we had some problems with the restroom, the sewer backup. I think we were out there a couple times with the sewer maintenance team, and then we even had our private contractor, Jaybird, them go out and do some work. So there was two different contractors, including the city, that went out and did work there at the restroom. But from what I'm hearing, there may be a little more extensive work that needs to be done. We might have to, really look at if that bathroom is going to stay in that location. Is that a good thing, or do we need to move it? Being that we have the skate park, we're going to have a lot more people at that park. The concern is whether or not that's in the right location and be able to hold up with the problems that they got. I think that's probably been in there for years as far as that location. Mm-hmm. And I think the way it sits, it kind of sits flat. It sits down in. I just think that for whatever reasons, it's backing up quite a bit, and they've had to do quite a bit of work. So, softball diamond.
Does it flood? I'm sorry.
Oh,
Is that the problem?
It backs up. It backs up.
Backs up, okay.
Backs up. So we've done quite a bit of work, blowouts, cutouts. They put new cutouts in just to try to get some flow going. And I'm not a plumber myself, but that's just kind of what I was told by the individuals when they went out. So.
Are we going to complete Riverview's bathrooms before
Yes.
we even start this? at Westside?
Yes, I will say, I know the bids are out. The bids are out for West Side and Thomas on the restrooms. Now, who they selected to go with, I do not know, but I do know that the bids are out.
For Thomas and
Thomas
Riverview?
and Riverview.
Okay.
Yep. I think, James, I think you had a question on the softball diamond, the needs and things of that nature when you asked about the lights and the scoreboards. That was put on hold. And so I don't know exactly where we're at, but as of right now, the lights are still out there. So I thought we had a plan in place, and then things changed. And so I've had some conversation a little bit with the sanitation to see if they're still on board. I've also made a phone call to a private contractor. He was on vacation down in Florida. Just as soon as he gets back in town, he was going to go out and take a look and then give us a quote to see if he could go ahead and handle that job himself. We've been waiting for quite some time. So the scoreboards are still out there. I think it's 5. We need 3 in our parks, and we put two up for backup. And then the lighting was, I guess the initial conversation was with the mayor, deputy mayor of Muncie Community Schools. And I think there were so many lights that Muncie Central needed for their actual baseball field. And then we needed 8 lights for West Side Park. And so the hope is that we can still get the lights from out there at the sports complex before they start demolition out there with the houses and the homes that's going to go in out there. So we're still in limbo. Thomas Park, we met with Jay Bird about having the locators come out and do some locating so we can put in a new water line. I think when they put the splash pad in and some work was done there, they capped off the main line going from the main all the way up to the building. So the building there, right now as it sits, we don't have running water. And so those restrooms are not working. And we do have baseball out there during the summer months with Burris and Tom Terrell's traveling baseball program. Tom does a good job on maintaining out there. His trade-off is maintaining that field. He does takes a lot of time out of his own time to keep it cut, keep it mowed, things of that nature. So we have talked to the contractor. Just as soon as the weather breaks, then we're going to go ahead and look at putting that water line in there at Thomas. The splash pad repairs, there's some repair work needed on the splash pad. We identified that last year towards the end of the summer. We've already had conversation with the sales reps where we purchased the splash pad from, and I think Travis has called to try to get something set up as far as them being able to come out and take a look and troubleshoot to make sure we are getting the right parts.
I know there was some community discussion about algae or mold because of trees and,
Okay.
do you remember that last summer?
I
Does anybody remember that?
At the splash pad?
Yeah,
Yeah.
at Thomas.
Okay.
It was minor, but
Okay.
I'm wondering if when you have the sales rep for the splash pad there, they
Okay.
could look at that, because I
Okay.
guess it's so flat, it's not tilted enough for the water to go into the drains.
To the drain? Okay, okay.
So, and also I wonder if there were some trees, there was some mention about trees, and so if we could cut them back
Cut them back, okay,
so that the sun was directly on it,
okay. All
on the
right,
pad.
all right. Yeah, that's something we can definitely look into. We have our urban forestry department, and so we can definitely handle that part of it. And then when they come out, we'll talk a little bit about the draining system there at Thomas as well. The basketball court itself, it's old and it just needs to be renovated. How we do it, when we do it, that can be a discussion between neighborhood association and the parks. But that court has been there for many, many years, and so. But
What
it's
about that bathroom?
Yes, and that bathroom is coming out, and then
Okay.
that's where the new one is going in, there at that location, so. And I think that's being handled between community development and the city engineer. I think those are the two entities that's dealing with the two restrooms at West Side and the one at Thomas.
Will that be this year?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Should be happening here real soon, actually. We was told 2025.
Okay.
I know the neighborhoods have been asking a little more timeline. Is that early part of 75? Is that mid 25? Is that summer? Is that, so they're all hoping that it's early part of the spring. So, but like I say, that's I think community development and the city engineer. I do know it was out for bid. That's what I do know. That was discussed in the department head meeting, that the restrooms have been put out for bid. So,
Can you remind me if we found a solution to the power box and the location or protecting it? If that's what it was, the power box that was getting vandalized or
At-
whatever. Is that Thomas Park?
was it Thomas? Was it
I thought.
Power,
Am I right?
Power Box?
Yeah, I didn't know
Okay.
if I know we
Okay.
was having.
Oh, yes. We did. We moved it and put it inside the fence. We rerouted it, and so it's inside.
And some
Where
parts
it
of
was,
it-
yeah, it was out inside that building on the other side of the restroom. But now we've put it over the fence and
Okay.
inside to that other building. So right now it's safe
Okay.
unless someone climbs over the fence and gets into the building.
So I should have been quiet so nobody would know the secret location.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, it's okay. And then over at Heacon, the neighbors there really has been asking for more lighting. We do have lighting at the baseball diamond and at the horseshoe pit, but they were asking for lights at the basketball court. And so we needed to have some discussion about that. And, lighting has always been there at the court, and you can look at it two ways. The more lighting you got, the more people hanging, the more security you're gonna need for people just hanging. If it's not an event type, then you just got a crowd of people. And so, one way, the lights was not working, no fault of the parks, there was just old lights and bulbs that burnt out. We didn't have any tournaments or anything, any events in, so the urgency and the need wasn't on our side to replace the lights. But since then, we have had some conversation with the neighborhood association, and they've kind of addressed their concerns about it. And then we've had a quote put in place by our Walker's Electric, and so we do have that on our radar. That's something that we can have paid out of our budget. And then, so the goal is to have those lights put in place there at the basketball court. And so if kids do want to play, when it gets dark, they have the lights there.
Could we,
Safety was a concern last year due to all the increase in the violence and the handguns that we had going on. It just was a safety concern, so we didn't have the lights on. So.
any lights from the Sportsplex? Any extra that we could use at Heacon?
It depends if we can get good lighting to work. If those lights work and fit, I'm thinking we may be able to do that as well. It just depends. I think there was, I want to say there was maybe a set of 20s that, I kind of wasn't in that conversation.
Yeah.
That was more with deputy mayor and the mayor and the Muncie Community Schools. I think for us, our department, we just went out and cleaned up the place and got things, got the shelters and stuff removed down, and we did what we could do from a park department standpoint. But I can follow up, to see if those lights could be used there as well. So, softball scoreboard needs to be replaced. That's one of the parks that going to do a replacement with the scoreboard. We don't have one at all at West Side, so the other one was going to go in West. And then we was going to put one down at Riverview, there at the kickball location there, just to bring if they wanted to do a game or have a tournament between daycares, then they would have the ability to keep the score there as well. So that was our thinking on that. And then the tennis courts, we all know at Heakin, have been sitting there idle for years. At one point in time, we did have some monies for pickleball courts, but then a lot of people was saying that we don't play enough pickleball in the community, and we already had pickleball courts throughout the city, and they thought maybe something else could go in that place. Whether we go back, we do not have a tennis court in the Whiteley area or industry area at all, and that's what that was before. The surfacing is a concern. There's some cracks and things there, so we need to get some professional person out or city engineer to see what the cost would be to have that tennis court resurfaced and then put back into use. Whether that's a complete tear out or if it can be resurfaced the way it is. So, Mr. James, you might be able to come out and take a look and maybe give me some insight on that as well. But it has been sitting idle for 5 years, and we've done nothing with it. So, and I think that's the end of what I have for right now. Take it back. On the back, parks, cameras. I got a young man that's going to come up and talk here shortly, but I will tell you that the cameras that we have need to be upgraded. There's times we've gotten phone calls from our police department asking about a particular park, and if we had cameras that were up and working. Our recent call was on the one at Morningside with the police work that they had there, and the cameras there wasn't working. Then I got a call about Heakin from the police department again, asking about those cameras, and they had been cut. The cord had been cut where we had it installed, probably not the best location, and so now we're looking at a different way of having those cameras installed. But for safety for all of us, I think it's definitely a good thing to have in place, is to have those cameras up and working.
Thank you, Carl.
All righty.
Any questions for Carl while we got him here? I'm sure we'll be back.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we got parks programming and event approvals. I know we've got Nikki with some items, and I know we've got a guest as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Let's see here. Piggybacking off of what Carl said, the resource fair took place, and it was actually pretty awesome. We just wanted to thank some of the volunteers that came out. Like Carl said, Shannon was there on Saturday, and she was completely awesome. She had her laptop. She was signing people up. She was showing them how to do it with QR codes. She was directing kids into the workshops. We also had Cassandra Woods, Anitra Montgomery, Rudy Jones, and a few members from Forward Visions who were there helping, which was awesome. And then we had NAACP, IB Tech, Muncie Sanitation, Ball State, Eco Rehab, Muncie Library. We had a table for 3rd and 11, and Muncie Area Career Center and Girls Incorporated that were there giving out information regarding their programs and programming that they were going to have throughout the year. So that was very beneficial to a lot of the youth who were there. They were very interested, especially in the IB Tech and Ball State tables, which was really good. The workshops on Saturday were really great. The resume building one that was done by Ball State, one of the things that a lot of the youth were discussing afterwards was the discussion about how to, since most of them do not have jobs because of their ages, the workshop showed them how to use the skills that they've learned from their involvement in community organizations, churches, and sports teams, and how to put that into a resume form to show the skills that they have when they're going out to look for a job. They did also offer to come out and do one of our mentor days for the summer program, which was pretty awesome. And we also had an organization who was interested in taking about 10 of our youth from the summer program at their site as well, so we'll be discussing that. As far as upcoming events related to the sign up for the summer program, we are going to have another in-person registration weekend at the Walker Event Center on March 8th and 9th from 10 to 2. So we will continue to take registration up until then. We still have them trickling in every day right now. We have the National Kids to the Park Day, which is going to be on May 17th. It's currently scheduled to be at Cannon Commons. We're going to have bouncy houses, music, games. For that particular event, we're going to have, we're talking to the balloon guy and trying to get some face painters as well.
Cool.
I did meet with Christina, who is the manager over at Walmart South. She was discussing some partnerships she wants to continue to do with us for this year. So she does want to do another of the back-to-school supply giveaways. We currently have that scheduled for July 22nd. She was also interested in doing a coat drive throughout the month of October with collection boxes at our office and at Walmart South, where people can donate either new or gently used coats, hats, gloves, scarves. And then on November 4th, we would be over at the McCullough Cabin, and people could come, bring their kids or themselves, and then find something hopefully warm to wear since the winters are kind of brutal. We also have a date for Trunk or Treat, which I know it's far away, but it's going to be October 18th. We didn't want to clash with Ball State's homecoming weekend, so it's going to be a little bit earlier this year. The last thing, we currently have registration going on for the NFL flag football with 3rd and 11. And at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Brandon Hayes to come up and discuss that. And then when he gets finished, we do have 2 events that need approval.
Thank you, Nick.
Good evening.
Good evening.
As she said, my name is Brandon Hayes. I'm currently an administrator at Southside Middle School, founder of 3rd and 11, and ex-professional athlete with the Carolina Panthers, Indianapolis Colts. So I've partnered the last 2 years with the Parks Department for this NFL flag. It's K through 6. First year we had about 100 kids. It's co-ed. Last year we had 120. This year we're shooting for 120. That's pretty much our cap. Just to give the kids an opportunity to get out, exercise, be in the parks, learn the game of football. They all get NFL uniforms, whatever team they're on. For instance, I gave you a packet. One of the kids last year played for the Eagles, and his mom sent me an email stating that he wore his Eagles jersey for the whole Super Bowl and was super excited for NFL flag to start. So, yeah, it is. And like I said, we've been doing this 2 years, and we haven't had one complaint. And that's hard to believe in Muncie, Indiana. But we have not, and the kids really enjoy it, the parents enjoy it, and we just want to keep it going and build upon it, and hopefully be able to take it up a couple grades later on. So that's pretty much why I'm here, just to pitch that we need this in our community, and it's been successful. I think it would only be, it would only grow.
That's awesome.
So how many weeks is it?
It's 4 weeks.
And is it 2 days a week?
No, it's 1 day a week. The first year we tried to do 2 days a week, but getting kids to practice and to the game was an issue. So now they practice an hour before the game, so the parents only have to come that one time. They get their practice in, and then they play the game.
It's at Ball Corp Park?
Correct.
Okay.
You mentioned the 120 kind of limitation. Is that staffing, coaches, referees, or what's the issue? How do we?
Yes, definitely coaching, staffing. The first year we tried to get a lot of volunteers, didn't really work out, so we started paying stipends for people to coach. We definitely got to pay for the officials to be out there. So that worked out a lot better this past year, so we want to continue that, so we know we have people we can depend on moving forward. So yeah, if we could get more staffing and things of that nature, the number could go up, but 120 is a good amount to be able to manage, with the people we have.
So I did see some costing associated with that. I assume some of that, it looks like we've got some of that in our budget, some of that come through the 3rd and 11 and other sponsors, or what's the
Yeah, we had sponsors, so everything's free. So the uniforms and all that was paid for. The sponsors helped pay for that. The Parks Department helped pay for that. So that's why it's, free for the youth. So
So, last year I know you got a grant for the jerseys. Is that correct, through the NFL Foundation?
no, I did not know
Oh, okay. How did the youth get these jerseys?
through the Parks Department.
Oh, they paid for it.
Yep, and the sponsorship.
Okay.
So currently, as you can see in the email, I'm connecting with the Indianapolis Colts to help try to get some more funding to alleviate some of that cost, but nothing's in stone right now as far as the Colts are concerned.
So there's a difference of what? $5,637?
Difference as far as
The total cost for the program versus what the budget is for the Parks Department?
in the uniform, so we won't know until all the kids are registered and we order the uniforms.
Okay. Have there been consideration of the youth paying for the program?
We discussed that. I think last year the mayor wanted it to be totally free, so that's why that was picked up by the Parks Department.
Any other questions for Mr. Hayes? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'm excited about that program. Hopefully we continue to grow that.
All right, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have 2 events that need approval. The first one is from Forward Visions, is their 8th annual Black Music Month celebration. It's pretty much a collaboration with the Parks Department as one of our Music in the Parks program. So they put on this concert. It will be on Saturday, June 28th. They will also, during the concert, be awarding music scholarships to middle and high school students for $1,000. They will have security. They will have vendors at this time. They don't know exactly which vendors, but they state they will provide a list to the Parks Department a month before the event. We usually collaborate with them and provide the metal stage and the bleachers and the big tent for the event. They are expecting, it's about 300 people, and it will be over at McCullough Park, right on the basketball courts. Mr. McIntosh is here if you have any questions, he can answer them for you. But like I said, this is would be the 8th year that we partner with them to put on this particular event. We did 2 with them last year. The one at McCullough Park went on even though it was raining and it was still a good time. So that was like pretty cool. It is a multi-generational event, so it's for the whole family. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for Mr. McIntosh.
Any questions regarding the Board of Visions Black Music Month event?
Did you say that there's security and insurance? Sorry.
Yes, my name is William McIntosh. Yes, we will have security. I don't know if you're familiar with Legacy Life, Robert Scaife and them. So we have them on board to give us the security. Also, it would help us get the entertainment. That's why we really been collaborating for over the last 8 years with the park department. We were approached, and it's been a way to get families out in the park again. I mean, I got to hand it to superintendent. They've been really fixing up the parks, getting them ready, you know, and stuff like that. So Forward Vision thought it was a great way to get families out there to picnic, to, you know, barbecue, and then we give them live entertainment. And I don't know if you ever tried to hire any entertainment. If you want good entertainment, it just takes a little money. So, and then like Miss Nikki stated too, it's a music thing, so we trying to keep the arts alive, and we reaching out to our middle school and high school students, those who play instruments and in music, and then encourage them to apply for the scholarship, and then we try to award them with a $1,000 scholarship at the end of that. So it's been a big thing. Everybody loves it and comes out for it, and it's just our way of giving back to the community.
How will the students apply for the scholarship?
I'm sorry,
How do the students apply for the scholarship?
how do they apply for it? We have a online, they can do the TikTok, or they can just send us an email explaining how they want it. We give them like a minute or so to do it. And we have a committee that's set aside to do the judging, actually, when they do all of that. And so we come out with our winners. And like I said, we do not elementary, but middle school and high school.
And they send it, does the Forward Visions have a website or a?
Do they have, your mic is low for me.
I'm sorry. Does the Forward Visions have a website that they send it to?
Yes, we do.
or-
Forwardvisions with an S.org. Yes.
Okay.
So they can just go to the website and
Exactly. You can go to the website and see everything that we've done for the last 17 years.
Their recent
But
winners
it's,
on there.
our whole history's on there, information you want, anything.
Yeah.
Donations.
Yes, I recall hearing nothing but good things from it in prior years, so
Oh, okay,
good thing.
cool. Anyone else?
Any other questions from the board? No.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign.
Thank you, I appreciate
you.
that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. The second event is going to be the Muncie Chapter Black Expo, which would be at Heacon Park, July 17th through the 20th. They've been putting this on for forever. They plan on having about 8 food vendors and retail and information booths. They will have security. They typically do it, at Heacon Park, and they partner with the Parks Program. We provide them with the bleachers, the tent, the stage, and porta pots. That's our contribution, kind of like an in-kind. Let's see here. There's nothing else that they are asking for us or from us. But they will, like I said, they will have security, and they expect, what is it, about like 200, 300 people? And that is at Heacon Park.
This is a reoccurring event, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the purpose of it is to inform people of different retail companies.
It's a
What-
big celebration in the park. They do have vendors and organizations who are there to give out information. They have vendors who are there selling clothes, local vendors who are not necessarily like in a mall or anything like that. They have small shops, so you can go there and you can buy their items.
Okay.
They have food vendors as well.
Okay.
That you can buy from. It was a lady there last year who had amazing desserts. I can't remember her name, but they were amazing.
good.
But yeah, they've been putting it on for what, like 17, 18 years?
Yeah, okay.
And that is at Heacon Park, July 17th through the 20th.
Any questions regarding the Black Expo event at Heacon? Not. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Thank you, Nikki.
Miss Nikki, quick question. All right, do we plan on doing the resource fair? Is that something that we're going to continue with the youth program from this point forward? Because I know that was this was the first year.
wants to.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll just say this real quick. The actual goal is to be able to have these kids work year-round.
Yeah.
And so having a resource fair and giving them the skill sets to go through a test run of what it'd be like to be interviewed. A lot of those kids came ready. They had resumes. They were dressed appropriately. They actually were looking for the partners. Some of the partners that they were looking for wasn't there, but Nikki took their number and was going to contact the company, say like if it's one of the retail stores on McGuire, what Burger King, or whoever it was that she had spoken with. We had stated to the family that Nikki would make the phone call, let them know that the resume is in her hands, and we'd like to drop it off at their location for employment. So that's what the fair does, is kind of get the kids ready for year-round employment.
I just want to say how awesome this really is. I had the opportunity earlier last week to be in a room with a bunch of different employers for a luncheon. And one of the discussions was that a lot of the young people or the young adults that come in don't have any interview etiquette.
Okay.
It was a part of their conversation of how they dressed and how they presented themselves, and that it was almost discouraging to find what they could depend on good employers. So I had an opportunity on bragging on our parks
Okay.
and our city, because we offer this to our
Yes.
youth of our community to prepare them to not be a part of conversations like that. So I just want to say thank you.
Yes.
This is great.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate it. And we often do hear feedback from employers about the proper way you come in for an interview. And that's kind of what the parks do. We do the same thing when we interview the 100-some kids. Some kids have to go back out and come back in. Or reschedule for another day. We don't try to exclude them, we just try to let them know that your attire wasn't proper, and you come back tomorrow and let them know that their attire just wasn't proper for that day, for that interview.
It's a good thing.
So, thank you.
Next on the agenda, we've got the Prairie Creek report. Ms. Connie.
Hello, board.
Hi.
So I'll kind of update you on some things we've been doing. We got some gravel for the parking lot in front of the office, trying to make that look a little bit better. And we started on phase 2 of the Cook Education Center. We got a little bit of Planet learning things for the kids inside of the Education Center today. So slowly but surely getting a lot of things in there for the kids to do. Leases have all been sent out, except the couple that I've reached out to you guys about. So we're just planning, Carl, I, and Kelly are just working on what hiring for the season's gonna look like, and
Good.
what projects we're gonna do to fix up the reservoir a little bit. So there are things that we've been working on. I do have 5 events for approval.
Before we get to the events, any other questions, Prairie Creek? Probably, 2-3 weeks away from starting to try to put docks in, assuming we're done with cold.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it. We know it's, we know it's right around the corner.
Yep.
And so, so we gotta get some proper gear. That was one of the things that was brought up, having the right gear. So, and I'll discuss that, so we're in the process of trying to get that stuff. Excellent.
What about a new training system to install the floating piers?
Yeah, so we've got a lot to work on. It's probably why he's kind of smiling. Going from one system to another and then doing both of them at the same time. So now we're having to get a lot more things. We're having to do training that we've never done before. So that it's a lot. But yeah, we want to make sure this is implemented before we start and not after we've lost one of our employees or somebody gets hurt. So
How many employees seasonally do you need to hire this year?
This is a guess, 6.
6?
6 to 10. Yeah.
6 is what I've heard, but,
Okay.
you know, we may have more than that. It just depends. Depends on just how things are going. And then 6 with park staff,
Yeah.
a support team, to the 6 that we are. So.
Yeah, so they're going to help us in town as well. So I would say probably 6. But I know if we start, we need more. I'm sure Carl will.
When do they get hired? Like, when do we hire our seasonal employees typically?
We'll start doing that now. So I just processed front desk, and then usually I talk to the guys and try and know what's going on in the garage, what their plan is. So I would assume that here in about a week or two, we'll probably sit down and start going through those applications that I got. So we'll probably start calling people first week of March.
Have you guys assessed the damage on that dock that got the wing door off?
Yeah, so we have, the maintenance guys have spoke with the people who, that sell us the docks. They think that these are gonna pop back into place. There are some areas that need repaired. Me looking at them, I don't know if that's the case or not, but they know a lot more about the docks than any of us at the reservoir do. They sell them, so they know. They've sold them on the Great Lakes. So if they're saying the ice pushing them in, if they're saying they've seen them pop back out, I'm gonna trust them. But I know looking at them, they do look.
So if they
some
do
spots.
not pop back in, is there gonna be a delay in putting the,
I think that would cause a delay, yeah. So it wouldn't cost any more money. We have like a 10-year warranty is what I've heard, but that would cost us a lot of time because then we have to wait to get some more in. I don't know how many parts we have, but if they don't pop out, that's going to be an issue, yeah. We are all pretty well aware of that. That's
Bless you.
something that we've been talking about. It's definitely a worry of ours.
Any other questions for Tom before we move to events? Go ahead.
Okay. So first one is Bass Lafayette. They're wanting to have a tournament. They do it every year. I know they've been here the last 3 years. This is 12 to 14 boats. They're not asking for anything. They know that they have to get their daily passes. They're not going to be selling anything, no vendors. They don't have security marked on here, but that's going to be July 20th. Last month we put it off because they were going to do it day after Ironman. So they're asking for July 20th from 6 a.m. to 3.
Who is this?
Bass Lafayette. It's a Bass Lafayette fishing tournament.
Any questions? Not, entertain a motion to approve.
so moved? Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you. My next one is another fishing tournament. It's going to be Indiana Walleye Anglers. They want to do theirs on May 4th at 6 a.m. They're expecting 24 at most. Same thing. They're not asking for anything. No vendors, no security. 6 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Any questions on the Indiana Walleye Tournament? Not, entertain a motion to approve.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right, Light Horse Club wants to do their roundup on June 6th, 7th, and 8th. They usually close down that area, the whole Indian Trail camping. They rent those out. We get the money in a check like a week or two later. They raise money. Last year, they helped do the trails over there. That's like a $5,000 project. They also split the cost for new signs with us. And that's how they raise money every year. It's private to their club, so 5,200 people. They use people inside the club for security. And if it gets approved, they'll rent a tent again from Nikki. So they're aware that they have to go to her to rent that. But mostly they'll just have that area closed down for that weekend.
What is the area again?
Indian Hill.
Okay.
They will rent up all the tent and RV camping in that area.
Any questions regarding the Light Horse Roundup?
How many people is that?
50 to 100.
And there's parking?
There is.
Ample? Okay.
Yeah.
We've done this at least the last 3 years I can think of.
They've done it for several years, yeah. I'd say probably close to 10 at least.
Is there electric at those campsites?
There is not for tent, that's primitive, but the RV sites there is.
And each site is charged just like on the other side of the lake?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions? Not. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Two more?
All right, the next one is the same week, and it's gonna be June 7th. They did come because their event's pretty large, so I told them if they could come, that'd be nice in case you guys had extra questions. Last year was our Jeep event out at Prairie Creek. We were gonna do it inside the parks, but I think somebody on the board had suggested, that Prairie Creek would be a great spot for it because we have a larger area. They're expecting for that to grow this year, so they're wanting to move instead of the parking lot over at the beach, they're wanting to move to the airplane park area because it's larger. So they want to do that event again this year. I'm really excited about that. They will have food vendors, they'll have craft vendors, they will follow health guidelines for this event. They're asking for trash cans. Last year they raised money for the animal shelter. This year they want to do it for Delaware County veterans. That raises money for whatever our veterans in Delaware County need. They're going to provide clothing for veterans, like shoes, clothing. They're going to find some resources for them. If there's veterans who have like house issues, this is also a resource to like fix roofs, items like that, just whatever the need in the community is. So this is expecting at least 150 people. Security will be ran Brian. Brian's worked security for Prairie Creek in the past. 2 years ago, he was our full-time security. And they have officers there as well.
Isn't Brian a police officer in, oh, okay. Hi.
See, I went to this event last year. This was a great event, very laid back. I mean, just a lot of happy
Here
people out
last
there.
year?
Yeah, I was here last year, so we had no issues last year whatsoever. I think you come out, it was,
Cool.
yeah, I mean, you got cars, you had a great time. We actually had Friends of Prairie Creek come out. It was a great time. You know, we're bringing that into our events. This year, we're actually tying in with golf carts with them to help tie the campgrounds over. And it's with Delaware County veterans. So what we were doing, it's almost, we talked to meet with them, it's 100 vets here in Delaware County is homeless. So we want to really target in on that and help them out. So I'm sure you guys look around Muncie, you can kind of see its thing. So that really is passion to me right now, that I really want to help the homeless out. So that's where we are. We're going to have a collection to help, you can bring out blankets and stuff like that and put out there. So help to get a good start. Coats, socks, they said boots are the biggest thing they need. So people can drop that stuff off to help them. So we can get them going for next year.
Yeah, I only heard positive feedback from last year. Sounds like it was a pretty good turnout, and hopefully that can continue to grow as well.
Yep.
There are questions regarding the Jeep Roundup?
Is there insurance? Liability?
Yes. So we're actually partnering with the Prairie Creek, the city and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
We do have our own request, the reservoir. Last year, we had allowed some of the larger vehicles in the area for the day. It made quite a bit of money to work on those trails that we hadn't seen in the past. We would like to shut down the ATV trails that day, so it's not a danger to the public just that day, to the group.
So can you repeat that? What do you're
They
cleaning the
allowed
trails?
they allowed the Jeeps out last year on the trails. Usually we stick to smaller vehicles. We don't want there to be Jeeps, dirt bikes,
Yeah,
a lot of people on there.
Okay.
So
got it.
if that's something we're going to do this year, we want that closed down for the day. We don't want to have,
Is that
Other
for
vehicles.
just the east side of the park? Or
it's
the
the
entire-
south, it's the south side. It's the entrance is just a one-way, and then you get in, there's a staging area. It's pretty large. So it'd just be that ATV trail. It doesn't go to any of the other trails.
Got it.
Now, would that still require the off-road permit and the same permitting, or is that part of the event? Or
Yes, so Brian actually will take some daily off-roads with us, or with them, and they'll sell them too.
Okay.
And then he brought them back last year. So. I just don't want that open if we're gonna do that.
Yeah,
and
no,
and
It's going
Makes
to be
sense.
essentially designated large vehicle day is what you're.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
Last year it stayed open. It wasn't concerned because nobody else had come that day, but we are growing in that area. We have a group that's wanting to start out there. We saw a lot more traffic last year, so if we continue to grow, it's always a possibility we'll have smaller vehicles out there, and I just don't want that to happen.
I'm not familiar enough with the trails out there. Do most of them accommodate or work pretty well for the larger vehicles?
Yeah, we had, I think, if I remember, we sold like 45 passes last year. So a lot of them, they really enjoyed it. I don't think anybody ever got stuck out there. They didn't tear up anything or anything like that. So it just gives them, no one wants to travel 2 hours away when it's something really in your backyard. So I don't know, that's something you guys can look at, but, you can get a lot more beneficial. And the one thing is, we're getting a lot of feedback. People like coming out there. They really like the scenery out there. So that was the biggest thing we got for our feedback from our event last year is people really like being out there. They love the scenery. They love looking across the water and stuff like that. So great feedback from the community. So.
Excellent, thank you. So I think we've essentially got two items there. One, we need to make a decision on the event itself, and then we need to essentially make a decision on restricting or changing access for the day for the off-road trails. So first, let's address the event. Any other questions on the event? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And then for the the off-road use trails, we're looking at modifying the usage for that day to be, I guess, what we'd call large vehicles only during that time period. Do we have any other concerns or restrictions there that we need to look at? Is that something that you would see that could be something that we could grow and do even outside of this specific event? If we look for a semi-regular schedule, would there be interest and
Yeah.
need out there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So maybe that's something we can look at, how we structure that. If it's once a month or every other month, we have some kind of structure there, I think.
Yeah.
Is another opportunity to utilize the facilities out there.
Yeah.
So we're, off-road use trail revision for June 7th, associated with the Jeep Roundup to allow large vehicles on the off-road trails. Entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved. Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, number 5. Harris Chapel Church of the Nazarene, this is their Easter egg hunt. They do it every year. I'm not really sure how long, but I know it's been going on for a while. They're asking for the beach area. This is gonna be on April 16th. That's a Wednesday, I believe. They'll put up tape around 12 p.m. The Easter egg hunt will be from like 6 to 8 p.m. So they'll use the whole park area around the beach. They will have 300 to 400 people. The security is Jeremy Dye. He was our police officer we had 2 years ago, I believe. I believe he was a Albany police officer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Brian, who Brian was in my mind. Okay.
It's a private event, but they'll provide water, hot dogs, and chips.
Any other questions regarding the Harris Chapel event? None, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved?
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
All right, any more questions, guys? All right, thank you.
Tony, thank you. Friends of Prairie Creek, I know we talked a little bit about Easter egg hunt last month. I don't know if you guys got anything else to add, or?
We just started talking tonight, so we don't have anything.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on the list, we've got old business. I know we've got Representative from Flatland here today. Mr. I always get your last name wrong, is it? Heilman.
Good evening, Board. There's 2 updates listed here. I have a couple others for you, so I'll try to be relatively brief. First one, Till Pond Park, which, as a reminder, was a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that the city received for that. It was 50-50 match, $500,000 grant from federal down through the state, matched with $431,000 of the mayor's money, and then some in-kind work, which we're currently estimating about $140,000. So we just got under contract last week, but we've been working on clearing the underbrush and the invasive species out of the park. Just one, to clear it up, and 2, for the proposed trails. There's about a half mile worth of trails that will kind of wind around the current pond and back to the woods. We've been doing tree clearing as well. And all that has to be done before April 1st, which is the bat habitat restriction deadline. Once that's done, then we'll really get into the majority of the construction, the trails, the parking lot, the shelters, this summer through next spring. So working through 30% design now, and hopefully here this summer you'll see a lot more progress out there. So.
I know that's a pretty extensive project. Do we have a estimated completion timeline yet, or?
We're hoping next spring, if all goes well. So
Spring of
26. Yep. That could change. I'll be coming back regularly for updates and provide you guys with some updated plans for the project as we kind of figure out those finer details.
Which construction company got that bid?
It will be Flatland Resources.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a design build project.
Okay.
So we will be using some subcontractors on that for like paving, specialty things that we don't have the capacity to do. So.
Any major bottlenecks or issues that would create a major deadline change at this point?
Not at this point, but something always seems to pop up.
Any other questions regarding the pond at Tillotson?
Glad it's moving.
Okay, second one is the Prairie Creek Trails Phase 3 project. This was an Indiana Trails Program grant that the city received it was 23, I believe. And that is, again, for the third phase of the multi-use trails out at Prairie Creek Reservoir. So it'll link up with phase 2, which kind of dead ends on the southeast side of the reservoir, and will wind up to the beach house. So we'll essentially connect the beach house with the city of Muncie through the trails and via the Cardinal Greenway, which is pretty cool and a major milestone, and one of the milestones in the 2007 Prairie Creek Master Plan. So you guys have been slowly plugging away at this. It's pretty cool. We have done a little bit of survey work out there. So again, Flatland Resources was selected as the design build consultant / contractor. We built the first 2 phases back in 2013 and 2015. So we're very familiar with these projects. In the DNR program that helped fund this, we are writing a Ball Brothers Foundation grant to kind of cover most of the match required to pay for the project. I had a meeting with Carl and Kelly last week to kind of go over project specifics, since both of them are kind of new to the Prairie Creek scene, and we will be utilizing some borrow from on-site there at Prairie Creek, just south of the boat launch. There's a large kind of grass field south of the maintenance facilities to help build out the project and save some money. Otherwise, we're hauling that material in from a borrow site somewhere outside of town and spending an extra $45,000. So this brings significant savings to the project. So yeah, we're working through that. There's some logistics that we have to work through with Tawny and the Muncie Sail Club in terms of how that trail routes through their property or along their property. Currently, we are proposing that trail route along the county road as close as possible, while maintaining a safe distance, kind of per, standard design guidelines for trails. But that one's moving along fairly quickly as well with design, and our current schedule is to build that this fall, late fall, into early winter. So assuming that we don't, again, hit any hiccups, that should be done by the end of the year.
So kind of looking at a spring 26 open as well on that.
Yep, that's correct. And that one will be same material as the other 2 phases, so it's like a compacted stone, fine stone that's ADA compliant and accessible.
With that, I assume you've been working and interface with the property owner, Indiana Water, as well, and they're aware and engaged with the project.
That's correct. Yeah, and they greenlit the project as well, which paperwork for that, or their green light, was included in the grant application. So, we were working with them.
Any questions on the Prairie Creek Phase 3 trail?
Okay, Tui Park. Shannon has been working with us on some master planning there. The master planning for Tui Park, or vision or a dream for Tui Park, was born out of some trails. Ball State received some money to build a trail connection from Ball State to downtown. There was the plan for the Muncie Arts and Culture Trail along University, which was not able to kind of come to fruition. So that the little bit of local match plus the Ball State money was put towards what could a trail route look like, and that through that process last year, Tui Park was kind of the nexus or the terminus of that trail, which kind of raised the question, well, what do you do with Tui? How does the trail get through Tui? Right, and then that question asks, well, maybe there should be some conceptual plans put together to understand how the circulation patterns of vehicles and pedestrians and trails could better fit within the Tui Park space. And so a steering committee was formed with neighborhood representatives, Riverside Normal, Ball State representatives, Parks representatives, Shannon, Carl, and George were involved in some of those meetings. The city had some other representatives, and the mayor, community development, Gretchen Cheeseman, and then the YMCA, because they help run and maintain the Tui pool. That was Gretchen Fields represented the Y. So through that, we put through some bubbles on some paper and come up with some programming ideas and ways to improve circulation through the park. We don't have, obviously, a final solution right now, but just want to provide an update as, the people are thinking about the park. They understand its importance for the community and for the neighborhood, and there are ways to create programming there, to create spaces that really elevate the park, its presence within the community, and to create more safe places for people to play, to recreate within the city. So, next steps for that are seeing if there, maybe some private funding available to pay for more detailed design and cost estimating, and figure out what's next. So we don't have an idea where that money could come from, or what this looks like long-term, but, just want to provide you guys with an update on what's going on there, so.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding TUI? Or Shannon, you have anything else to add on that?
Do you have any updates from Ball State side?
I do not, nope. So they are a key player in this because, they've committed some money towards a trail, but they want to see what happens at TUI before, and a vision of what a trail could be, or what it would look like, or where it would go. They want to see, commit from TUI before they proceed with their trail.
Okay.
Okay, lastly, the MLK Walk of Fame improvements in Heacon Park. So, as you guys may remember, Ziegler Foundation awarded a grant to the MLK Dream Team to make improvements to the Walk of Fame. And those improvements have ended up being a gathering space out at Heacon Park. I'm sorry, I don't have any pictures for you, but it turned out really well. It's you could fit a classroom size worth of students or people in that space, and it sits right on the trail. There's some money for some benches as well. And the Ziegler Foundation, in their talks with the Dream Team, had requested some sort of entrance sign along Memorial Avenue, 12th Street, similar to the other park signs that you'd see at the other parks, I guess. The budget that the original grant was given to the Dream Team will not cover the cost of the sign, so I got a quote from Ace Signs for that, and there are also two levels of sign, I guess. You have your basic sign, then you have your ornamental, which has the fancy golden balls and a few more ornate details on it. The plain sign, basic sign, was about $8,500, and the fancy one was $10,500. I talked to Carl to see if it was possible that the Parks Department help pay for all or a portion of that sign, and he asked me to come and speak to you guys about that. So I'm not sure what the processes are here, but we were, I guess, looking for a partnership to kind of get the vision completed. And if you guys are able to help out with the sign, that would help the Dream Team replace 2 broken plaques and install a new plaque along the Walk of Fame too. So, hopefully, if it works out, great. If not, we could probably find other funding sources. But I thought I'd start the conversation here with you guys.
So total in is either 8,500 or for the fancy 10,000 what?
500.
Okay.
Carl, I don't know that I'm close enough to the budget, at least at this time, to understand how that fits in. I know we've got some line items for signage and some improvements. I know
Yeah, we just wanted to.
pretty early in the year. Yeah.
And have a brainstorm session on how we go about making that happen.
I know some or maybe nearly all that work is complete out there, or where are we at on status?
Yeah, the concrete work's all complete. We just have to install the 2 benches that they're requesting. So.
I think that's something that we need to probably look at the budget, how that fits in, if
Yep.
that's something that we can accommodate this year.
Okay.
I'd like to see something formally presented if we're gonna vote on that kind of money.
Yeah,
Yep.
I would agree.
It was like a quote and everything else.
A rendering
Shop
of
signs.
what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
And sign sizing.
Yep.
And just the general location of where that's gonna go.
My concern is that there's existing park signs that need to be replaced first. like Riverview, for example. And just, there's several of them. I don't know if it's sun damage or weather damage or what happened to them, but there's some that are in bad shape that just say the name of the park.
I think it's something, Carl, we need to look at as a team and
Yeah.
kind of see where we're at on that line item. Certainly continue to look for somebody who wants to make a donation and help support that. That'd be a great way to look through that.
Yep.
We're ready to make that commitment today at all.
Okay.
Any other updates?
That's all I have.
I know you guys got a lot on your plates. A lot of these are running kind of in the same time window here, especially the Till Pond and Prairie Creek. How are you guys prioritizing work or your driving initiative on the specifically Till Pond and Prairie Creek trails?
Yeah, so Till Pond will occur, at least the work that Flatland is doing, the construction work will occur late spring, early summer, right? We can do excavation, we can lay stone, we can't pave, we can't do concrete work. So by getting kind of we'll call it the preparation work done, that allows those specialty subs to come in on our heels and kind of do the finishing touches, right? And then that frees us up to head over to Prairie Creek to install those trails. So, right now, everything schedule-wise is kind of dovetailing nicely with itself, so.
Are you guys all complete with your work at Riverview?
We don't have any more responsibilities over there, so. And we were just doing design and oversight for some of those improvements.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
So that kind of covered the first two items on our old business. The next old business item, we've got Prairie Creek Easy Dock additions and the updates there. I don't know if I'm going to need Tony or Carl on this. I think everybody's aware that we had originally scheduled some Easy Dock additions for this year. Funding and timeline didn't work out to get any added to Prairie Creek this year. So all those that were wood last year will be wood again this year. That's Tawny kind of alluded to that all leases went out. The other update that we got this week that I shared, I think with most of the board, is there has been a request from Indiana Water to not renew any of what I would call property adjacent docks that had been previously individual landowners that were adjacent to the reservoir. There were some individual docks, so the request has been not to renew those. I know previous staff out there, and Tawny and I as well, have had some conversations, but wanted to talk through the board how we wanted to handle that. Some of those dock holders have been in good standing, have had docks for a long period of time, and I think the appropriate way to handle that would be to offer docks to them that are open before they go to the lottery. So if they're in good standing and they're interested in retaining a dock, they would fill in any non-renewal positions, essentially. Not adding docks to our inventory, but presenting them an option before it goes to the general public lottery.
How many are we talking?
I think there's 14 or 11. Okay.
Okay.
So traditionally, we've had that many available.
Yeah.
So I don't see that being an issue, and I also anticipate that there may be a few that might not be interested, being that it's not adjacent to their property anymore.
May I ask their reason?
Yeah. They're based on what you've seen now, those are available.
Yeah, I've had at least four people tell me that they're not going to renew.
Okay.
And usually the majority of them come when people just don't do their leases. They don't usually take the time to call us, so we'll have plenty.
So, I don't know all of the history there or how those got established in the first place. There's a couple concerns that both we have had as a Parks Department and that the water company has had. So the adjacent property owners to access that dock have to go through Indiana Water property. And that has created some issues. Certainly not all the property owners are not offenders, but there's been some clearing, tree cutting, some encroachment into the Indiana Water property that is above and beyond what they see as necessary. It also creates a pretty large burden for our staff to install those docks and maintain them because they're off-site. So it creates an issue for access for our staff to manage and maintain those as well.
Yeah.
So that's two of the probably main concerns that they've had with those. And it is probably outside of the way the lease was structured and how they intended those to be used. So with that, Indiana Water is working on a formal letter that'll be sent to those individuals. And I think the direction is that Tawny will follow that up or send in conjunction, hey, this is how we're going to handle this and this is what we're going to offer, unless the board has any objection or a different direction we'd like to go.
I'll send a letter and I'll reach out to them individually as well over the phone.
Yep.
Yep.
So if they have any questions, I can
Any other questions on Easy Dock, or Carl, you got anything to add there?
No, just that there was some conversation with the financing and the committee that had put together the financing to present to the mayor and the other funders to be. I think there was a bank involved. But in talking with the mayor and talking with Brad, the decision was that the board hadn't had enough time to look at the actual plan, the processing, and feel good about the financing that was going to take. And so that project, as far as the new Easy Docks, have been put on hold to further notice until we can get ourselves in a better place. So we would be putting back in the wooden docks that we've had in the past. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Are all the current floating docks paid for now?
Yes, they are. Yep. That was handled through the mayor's office a couple weeks ago. There was some conversation with Tani and the mayor's office to make sure that billing was taking place. We did have some outstanding invoices a couple weeks ago, and since then it has been paid.
Thank you for that update.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any other Easy Dock conversation from the board?
Will there be two adapted ADA docks, or is there one ADA dock this year? Three. Okay,
Three
great.
docks, yep.
There's an old one and there's two new ones, one from last year, one from the year before.
Okay,
Yep.
so there's enough for people. Should they let you know beforehand that they want one, or is that after?
Yeah, I have a little bit of a waiting list, I have a couple available, I'm gonna reach out to those people, gotta open up about two more,
Nice.
Because you're requiring the renewal of the ADA application, annual proof of need, and then there's a wait list for additional ADA, correct?
I'm way back there.
Thank you.
Here. Yeah, I have a couple people on the waiting list. I think I'm going to be able to fill those this year. But if there are people who have a need for that, just come to the office or call Carly or myself, and we'll get you the paperwork for that. And
Okay.
Thank you.
yeah, we'll try and get you one.
We got a couple items on the new business, working through conflict of interest training. Oh, who's got information on that? Carl, probably?
Yeah. So, in reference to the conflict, Patty had called me this evening and said she needed to reschedule her time frame.
Okay.
In talking with Audrey about some information that she felt like needed to be clear, and she would reschedule her time when she gets all that information together to come back and have the board. And I know it's board involvement, and so I think she's been going out throughout the city doing work with some of the other boards as well, so.
Okay.
And some of this is coming out of that new ethics committee that they
Correct,
established. right?
yeah,
So
and I
this
think
is
that's why
for-
she wanted to have Patty trained a little bit or informed on what that looks like
Yep.
from my conversation that I had with her.
Excellent.
The YMCA contract, that information is before you. Just wanted to make sure everybody, bless you, just want to make sure everybody had some information before, not asking for any kind of discussion tonight, but it's before you. Once you guys have conversation, I think Jason was going to talk to Brad and see if we get everybody on a Zoom call. And then anybody, that has any concerns or questions at that point in time, we can talk about it and try to work through it. So, but that's where we at with that.
I see we've kind of got a general summary, a bullet point list. Have they provided an actual contract or an update yet, or are they still working through that?
Still working through it. We just wanted to kind of talk about that before we put that in, and put that before you guys to have it signed.
I'll kind of highlight some of the details on here so that they're saying the facility usage is primarily the same as what we had last year. They've got a slight increase in the total lifeguard costs, which is the head lifeguard paying the general lifeguards, an increase of $972. And then they've got a increase in the front desk concessions and management staff line. So they do have a reduction in front desk and concessions, and an addition of a seasonal full-time pool manager for a total staff cost increase of $5,645, which results in a total overall operating increase of $6,617. So,
I have a question. Is this how much was spent in 2024?
Say, I don't have it in front of me right now,
Okay,
but
so they have per category, they have overall that $110,727. Is that how much was actually spent
correct, yes.
for last year?
Yep,
And they're only saying that there's going to be a $6,617 difference when we were closed for over a month.
yep. So that's why I wanted to have
You know what I
discussion.
mean? Like,
Yep,
that doesn't make sense.
yep. And so that's why I'm providing you
That's-
guys with that and to kind of talk, have discussion, and then follow back up with Jace, and then,
Could we also have a copy of this year's budget?
yes.
Because I'm pretty sure those line items didn't change.
They did not. That 60,000 is still there, that was there. I looked at the 2022 income statement, and that lifeguard line item is still the same. So that tells me that 2021, and probably beyond, has been the same as well.
In 2022, we increased the hourly wage, and we were open for something like 91 days. So, yeah, it was more than the 60, definitely.
So I think we just need to look at that a little closer and
Yeah.
Yep.
keep that on the agenda and hopefully get that
Clarity.
tightened up for next month.
Yeah.
All righty. And now, next is the Security Pro Surveillance System proposal, and I have an individual here who wants to speak. We don't need to talk about the NFL flag football, because we've already talked about that. So at this time, I'll have him come up and just give an overview on what kind of proposal we're looking at to put before you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name's Sam Sohaki with the company Security Pros. Our main office is located in Westfield. Our local office is in Westfield, Indy. Main office is in Sellersburg, Southern Indiana. We primarily help cities, parks, and police departments with their surveillance and access control, like for doors. Here in Muncie, we already do the Horizon Convention Center and the Youth Opportunity Center, kind of on the far west side. After visiting the convention center a few weeks ago, I stopped in to say hi to Carl. Just kind of wanted to get a good introduction, quick meeting, see what was going on with you guys. He ran by a couple different parks he wanted to prioritize with me. One of the things we specialize in is, ironically, bathrooms, doing access control automation on those. We've got one proposal for Cooley Park getting ready. So there, I believe, Carl let me know, it's currently permanently closed from vandalism. I think it was open 24/7 overnight, kind of the reason it was not ventured into. Who knows, neighborhood teenagers destroyed, plumbing, new facility, brand new bathroom. I've got a proposal working on with that one to get access control on both doors, effectively getting it automated to open and close. Most parks do 7 or 8 p.m. at sundown. They'll automate the closing and then automate the opening at 9 a.m., 8:30, depending on what time it opens. The one we're working on there, since there is no internet, it will require basically a buffed up, upgraded hotspot that your guys' phone company may need to get implemented for us. So once there's internet, that's kind of one little thing we have to dial in. Otherwise, I've got that proposal ready for you guys at the moment. Basically automating the schedule on both doors for those. It'll give you full remote access to the doors, opening and closing them, effectively removing the need for maintenance to ever venture out there to open and close them with keys now. I believe that's kind of how a lot of parks do it until they upgrade. It can be a huge headache for like rental pavilions as well. Some parks I work with call them shelters, some pavilions. That can be a huge help both with habitation on those too. So in the future, that may be a quick, easy one we can talk about. Another one was at the Heacon Park basketball court. Carl kind of wanted to prioritize that one first over Cooley Park, I believe, depending on the funding, say if the neighborhood wants to help out there. At Heacon, he was mostly discussing like personal violence and I believe gun crime there. Coincidentally, whoever, not sure how long it's been down, they basically cut the internet access to the cameras at Heacon Park, and that's one thing that we'll be able to work with the internet provider on, trying to get a more permanent, kind of like Thomas Park, I believe, although they cut the internet, not the power there. Basically trying to isolate the internet into that building safely so that there's no way for them to like intersect or basically tamper with the cameras or the power or internet into that building now and just redo the same thing. Another issue we found was the cameras are currently no more than 6 feet off the ground, 6-7 feet here. We recommend upgrading the 2 cameras a little bit, maybe 16-17 feet. I've got a few photos if they're needed. Trying to get those cameras up out of the way because there's no telling what you can do just by spray paint, just trying to jump right up onto those cameras when they're within reach. I've got a small map on the proposal that shows the coverage on both cameras, kind of prioritizing the parking lot. I don't know if that's west of the actual shelter the cameras are on now. Basically getting a ideal view of any cars and like culprits that may be kind of, we know it's tough if people are walking towards the park, but if they are using cars to park there, you may even get a good shot of actual license plates too. The main issue there is just trying to get the internet fixed before we can do so. So I've got both of those proposals on paper ready for you guys. One we were working with on Heacon Park that I was disappointed I couldn't get an update on was getting it connected to the 911 dispatch center. Effectively, if people call in the neighborhood reporting any incidents at the actual basketball court, it'll directly connect it to dispatch immediately and give them a kind of hands-on, instantaneous view of the court. Effectively connecting the whole thing, even without that feature, to the 911 dispatch and police department. So a whole lot of words to say, we just have 2 small projects getting planned. If you guys would like me to hand the proposal to you today, I can, or email it to Carl, whatever's easiest for you guys.
Probably sending that to Carl and Nikki and we can distribute it to the board.
Perfect.
I know in some of our previous attempts at security, lighting has always
Great
come
point.
up and been an
Correct.
issue.
Okay.
Do you guys help interface with that or make recommendations, or is that included in your scope?
A few of the cameras we recommend. We joke with surveillance, we like to do overkill. A few of our cameras are like infrared IR, by default. That doesn't give you a perfect, like, military thermal view, but it helps a lot if, hypothetically, if there are lights that get upgraded, and Carl would like to turn those off at 10:30 at night to keep the crowds away, midnight onward, you'll still get a very good view of any body descriptions, vehicle descriptions that may still be there after those lights go out. But you're exactly right, even with the lights on, pretty much perfect clarity around both basketball courts.
Do you think, considering the break-in at Tui Pool, that we should get a quote for that pool?
Yeah, we just thought we'd go there. I knew we had some concerns. So once we got the conversation going, then that was going to be the next.
I stopped by there after one of my meetings with Carl and noticed there's almost no cameras now after they had a break-in there. That's an instance where even 3 to 4 cameras may be like expensive for the budget. A lot of our parks customers prefer to do things in small portions at a time, say whatever your biggest priority is. But Tui is one that we could achieve almost perfect protection of that main area. Was it the concession stand they broke into?
And the office. Yeah,
Okay.
it's right there.
That's one you could achieve almost perfect protection on with just 2 or 3 cameras. Even like one that we like is a single dome with 2 cameras in it. One of those could get you coverage of that main walkway, and maybe one facing that main street where people park. So you can usually get a lot of coverage with 2, 3 cameras at most.
I think when you provide the quotes there, another good resource would be is if you've got some local parks and some
Perfect.
areas that we could contact
Absolutely.
and reach out to understand how the coverage and the relationship's been and what the results have been.
We love that. One of our biggest, probably our favorite project has been in Kokomo. Any of you know Tori, their director?
I don't know them personally.
I think I met him at when we hosted the parks IPRA.
Okay.
He went on our van trip to our parks.
Kokomo's one where we've done, over the last 7 to 8 years, almost not the entire city, but every park. Their industrial heritage trail was one that the mayor really prioritized tackling back then for not a similar reason, but people were basically afraid to use that trail before there was any surveillance on it, and it's now like bustling and bright. But would you prefer like a direct referral or just kind of a case study?
Either way, whatever
Okay.
you've got that you can
That's
provide,
perfect.
allow us to do some research and how that's.
We
been
can do that.
implemented.
Any other items I missed?
Do you have sensor lights?
Ooh, like just motion sensors?
Because that's another problem at Tui Pool. People
Oh.
jump over that fence
Oh.
and swim at night,
That's
and there's no lighting.
That's one of our favorites. It's I say that because there's 5, 6 different ways you can solve those issues. The simplest way is it effectively connects one of the camera lenses to a call center, and we've got a few videos of it working. Say people come in at 10:30, they're just having a kind picnic at a pavilion they shouldn't be at just because it's past closing. Someone from the call center will directly say, call them out. It's not just an automated recording, since it's someone at a theoretical call center. They'll say, you 3 in the XYZ clothing, the park is closed. If you do not vacate right now, we will alert the authorities, et cetera, et cetera. And that's worked. Typically one of those at your average park. Depending on if you've got the pool, you could probably do, again, 1 camera, and that would cover any motion immediately. Did you say there's no lights there now, too?
Not at night, start.
Okay. Most of the infrared cameras we have do detect enough motion to give you an accurate description. It may not show you a person's face perfectly, but by all means, it'll notify. It's effectively called virtual guard, kind of a silly word for it. It gives an accurate description of those even in low or no light, for sure.
I can see why that's your favorite.
It comes up a lot because staffing is one of the biggest issues, and nobody wants to pay someone to drive around every park 24 hours, especially in the winter. Granted, the pool may be closed, winterized. It solves that staffing issue almost immediately. especially after hours.
Sure.
Yeah.
Look
Appreciate you.
forward to seeing a proposal and
Yeah.
what
Thank
the
you.
options. will be.
Definitely.
We'll speak next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other action items or event approvals? I don't see any names on the list. Carl's already had his allocated time. Any other items from the board for discussion? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.
Could we just talk?